Ed, I think we are live. Welcome to the first live episode of Football Miami TV Weekly. I am your host, Peter
And
Brown,
I think
joined
we
by.
are live.
We're getting a little feedback there, Ed. Joined by Uncle Ed now, so make sure you're on mute, Ed. And on your
Everything's muted. We're
great,
good.
great. There's going to be some hiccups along the way, I'm sure. This is our first time we've ever done this kind of show live using our broadcasting software and also streaming this live. But it's super excited to do it, and it's super excited for you guys to be a part of the show. So we have a chat room, obviously, in YouTube. So load up the chats. Ed is watching for the chats, and we'll read them off as we get to them. How you doing this week, Ed?
Good, Peter. There's a little delay, just so you guys know. With YouTube. So if we don't answer your questions immediately, there's a delay. So that's why. And
we're not ignoring you.
But I'm doing great. Just ready for soccer. I mean, to talk about soccer, there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm excited today. I actually was at Lockhart earlier today, and we will have a video up for Lockhart tomorrow morning. So I was walking around Lockhart all day for a couple of hours. Took me longer than I thought. Usually when I go there, I'm there in and out in 30 minutes. So I was there for about 2 hours checking things out.
Wow.
It's a lot going on there and a lot going on fast. But Ed, before we really start talking to some of our chatters and our viewers, I want to start off with a topic that I think could be a little fun, because we have a couple of things we want to talk about tonight. And let's start it off with the USL team has been announced for Inter Miami, right? So we know that you announced that in the Spanish news, so you guys need to make sure you're watching those whenever Ed puts them up, and encourage him to get them more regular. But
yeah, I'll try.
The viewers, you need to let them hear it. That's how it works, right? Demand. Yeah. But anyways, we talked. There's going to be the USL Division League One Division 3 team playing at Lockhart at the same time that Inter Miami's playing. Obviously, they're going to share the space for the first 2 or 3 years, and then Miami will go and play in Miami. Makes sense, right? And
right.
But I was curious, and I'm wearing this shirt for a reason, Ed. Kicking it old school. This is the old retro jersey
from back in the day,
before Traffic Sports. This is old school.
Is that a George Best, or is that Ray Hudson?
It's George Best. Ray Hudson is number 4.
Number four.
So I thought it would be fun to just talk about for a few minutes what would be a good name for the Fort Lauderdale USL team. Now, keep in mind, Paul McDonough did say that it will be branded Fort Lauderdale. So you're not going to see Inter Miami 2. We're not going to see Inter Miami B.
That's good. I think because everybody's would have probably complained, especially people, the homers in Fort Lauderdale where you're at.
Yeah, I hate these 2 and B team names. Some people might say, who cares? It's just a team name. I care. I like that kind of stuff. And so I don't like when I see New York Red Bulls 2 or Orlando City B, LA Galaxy 2. Right.
2. Yeah.
To me, it shows no respect for that lower division league that you're in. You're in USL. There's other teams that have spent money to get into USL. Well, MLS has spent money to get in there too. But I mean, that's their main business, right? Is to build that team. Right. And then you disrespect it by just giving it a 2. I like what teams like Sporting Kansas City have done with Swope Park Rangers, and what Real Salt Lake does with the Monarchs. So what are we going to do, Ed?
Peter, you're wearing one of the names. I think it's probably the favorite name that's out there, There is, as you know, there is a little problem with that because somebody owns the striker's name.
Yeah. Bill Edwards, the former owner of the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, does own the name because the last owners for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, they didn't pay their bills, Ed.
Yeah, they needed money. So they gave away the name and among other stuff. I can't remember exactly what it was. It's a long story, but we're talking about a team name. So I think a lot of people in Fort Lauderdale would probably appreciate the Fort Lauderdale Strikers name.
I would agree. Question is, and right now we're looking at the newer version of the Fort Lauderdale Strikers logo. You know, there's the one from the 70s, and then this is the one that Rich Levy, who has designed a lot of the MLS logos, at least the, you know, say MLS 2.0 logos, a lot of those. He designed our Fort Lauderdale Strikers logo that we're looking at here. And I think it's a no-brainer. But, question, Ed.
Go ahead. I'm ready.
Is the name tainted? Does MLS want to keep this a distance from the checkered past of the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, in and out of business?
Yeah, but
okay, go ahead.
I think the history is more important, and I think a lot of people won't care about that. They'll overlook it, especially the people in Fort Lauderdale. They have a love for that name. You know, there's a lot of history that was there, so you know I think they'll appreciate it more if the team decides to bring the Strikers name back.
Yeah, we have on the chat room. One World Goal is chiming in, and we know her well. One World One Goal. I'm sorry, and we know her well, and she's actually you know, talking about the Strikers, and several chats. Few, you know, talking about how the Strikers name is lost, and the Fusion name is lost to the Milan investor. So, but obviously, I mean, Fort Lauderdale Fusion, if you want to go there, but MLS definitely does not want anything to do with the Fusion. I don't think that was in their mind. That's a failed MLS club.
Yeah, I think that name is tainted
for sure.
Unfortunately, yeah. But there's other names out there. We just don't have to think about the Strikers as one possibility.
All right, give me one.
There's also the Fort Lauderdale Sun.
Why is that one special?
Well, not as special. Well, I mean, it was a team that existed. Okay. I'm just saying.
No, but that's the reason. Then that's the reason it's special, right? It's a team that you know. It was the Fort Lauderdale Strikers turned into the Fort Lauderdale Sun for a few years. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was going to those games. I was going to those games back here when I think you were in LA back then, probably.
Yeah, I was in LA back then. Yeah.
I was going to those games. The Fort Lauderdale Sun, you know, became the Strikers. It was back in the ASL days, I believe. So that'd be a fun name as well. I mean, Sun, you know, you can have a Sun and Gun offense.
That could be. I mean, what other names were there out there back in the day? I mean, we already talked about the Fusion. It's a possibility. Yeah, Fort Lauderdale Fusion doesn't sound too bad, but I don't think that.
It's got a good ring to it. I like names that, you know, FF, Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, Fort Lauderdale Fusion. I mean, I like that kind of stuff, right? But
Lois Lane.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay. Kick it DC and get away from just Disney, right?
Yeah.
But here's what I'm thinking they may end up doing, though, is not caring about whatever soccer history was here, because they're creating their own new soccer history. Here, two names I could think of they could use. One I'm scared that they would use, and another I'm okay with. So what if it's branded Inter? We're International, right? So what if it's Inter Fort Lauderdale, International de Club de Fort Lauderdale? I don't know how do you say it in Spanish. I can't get our team name in Spanish correct. Just can't get it right.
Oh yeah, I can't. I speak Spanish and I can't get it correct sometimes.
So I just call it Inter. But
don't worry. Just Inter
Fort Lauderdale. How would that?
That doesn't sound too bad.
Because I think it does.
I don't think it sounds too bad. Yeah. Well, one of the names that they put up on the chat right now is what about Fort Lauderdale Freedom?
Well, there was a team, Miami Freedom, and I used to go see them as well. They played in the Orange Bowl to nobody, but
yeah. Except you.
There was a few fans, not many. There was it was the dark days, really, of soccer in America. Really, there was really before MLS, and so there wasn't a whole lot going on. But it's not, and there is some. So there was a team name, but then it also makes sense that we're going to Miami Freedom Park.
Right.
The Moss Brothers like the Freedom Tower. They had some ownership or involvement with the Freedom Tower in the past.
So yeah, I mean, what other names? I can't think of anything else right now. Anything from the past? I think if we're gonna put a poll up.
Okay,
let's do that. I want to put a poll up tomorrow and see what people, with the options we've given today, and we'll see what people think about it, which one they want, or maybe somebody's going to be able to name a different name that everybody's going to like even
Well,
better.
so I'm afraid they would go with Inter Fort Lauderdale because I don't like it. The
Really?
the stadium's going to have Inter Miami stuff on it. It makes sense to make them Inter Fort Lauderdale, give them the same colors. It makes sense. I get it. It makes complete sense. I don't like it.
Gotcha.
But what I could see them do is something very, very generic, something like what Dallas has done with their USL League One team, and they call theirs North Dallas SC, North Dallas Soccer Club. So no, or is it North Texas? North Texas supporters South Soccer Club. I can't get it right, Ed. I don't live in Texas, but okay. I could see them doing something like maybe Fort Lauderdale FC. Okay. What do you think?
I think that's simple and straight to the point.
It's generic enough, right?
Yeah, and maybe we'll get some people to back just that team. Well, they can back the big team, but we'll see. Maybe people are really hardcore about supporting a team in USL 1.
And that is a question I have, Ed. Will the Fort Lauderdale fans, will your Flight 19 guys, will they support a Fort Lauderdale team? Now, I know a couple of the president, the founders of Flight 19 will definitely not. They're out. We know those guys. They're out. Yeah. No chance.
I'm hoping they come around, man. I mean, come on, it's soccer, guys.
I would hope so too. Yeah. But the followers are not just those 2 or 3 people. They had a decent sized group. And will those soccer fans get behind this lower division League One team? Because you want to have civic pride, and you don't care about MLS, because some of these guys are so anti-MLS. So, okay, you don't care about MLS, you don't like them, so support the lower level team. Support your League One team, your Division 3 team, and have some civic pride. It's going to be branded something with Fort Lauderdale. But the question, I'm okay. Will they get behind it?
Yeah. I guess we're going to find out. That team's going to come, and they're going to name it, and we'll see if these people want to support them.
All right, so One World, One Gold is behind Fort Lauderdale FC. It looks like, So anybody else that's watching, we'd like to hear your comments in the chat as well. This is how you can participate and guide the show. Look, we have some bullet points and things we plan on talking about. But you could derail the show. You could derail the show in a heartbeat. Just so you're in control. You want us to go in a different direction? We'll do it. But we're prepared if one way or either way, right?
Yeah. We'll do whatever you guys want. So.
All right. Well, we were talking. It also announced to joining in the USL was New England. So New England is but they're calling it Revolution 2, so they're going with the 2 name. But it's about time that New England has started to do some good things.
Why?
New England.
Oh yeah. New England's been sucking forever.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden they get Bruce Arena and they start spending money doing some things, maybe better. Right. So they're looking better, getting an actual like academy team going and stuff like that. So that's good. So they were announced at the same time as we were. But
well, as long as they do worse than we do, as long as we're on top, I'm okay with it.
We'll talk a little bit more about this in the upcoming news segment, the local news, which we'll start doing now on Tuesdays. I'll remind everybody at the end of the show. Well, we're going to start moving those to Tuesdays since we're talking here on Sunday nights. But the kids, the academy kids beat up on New England Revolution already.
They're beating up on everybody. These kids are just incredible, and it just gives you an idea of how good soccer players are in South Florida. We're kicking butt, man. I think we've out of all the games that they've played, I've heard they only lost 1 game, and I forgot which division, but they've lost 1 game and tied another.
Yeah. Hey,
and everything else has been victories.
I wanna first just welcome in William Mara is in. He says go Inter Miami. He's in the chat. Welcome, William. Right. And 593 Sports TV is in the chat as well. They say great stuff.
All right.
They're talking about you, Ed.
Good.
So that's good.
Well.
So
All right.
all right. So thanks to everybody that's tuning in on this live stream, and hopefully as we start doing more of this, we start getting even more people in and stuff like that. So uh, keep
There's a lot more to cover.
a lot more to cover. So let's jump to something else, Ed. Nicholas Gautier is chiming in, and actually his question is any word on the coach. That was actually one of the topics we had to kind of talk about, Ed. So why don't you, Ed? I talk a little too much sometimes. Why don't you?
Yeah, you too.
Why don't you tell us what's going on with the coaching candidates?
Well, we've got, one of the guys, Santiago Solari, which is who we've, everybody's kind of saying he's the main guy. Though he used to play with David Beckham in Real Madrid. He speaks English. He went to college over here in the U.S. And he's played in high level, like I said. He's also coached with Real Madrid. He seems to be one of the main candidates, but we just got a report. I think it was on Friday that Orlando wants him. Talk about cock block, man. What the hell?
Yeah, well, Orlando's got to do something right eventually, right?
Well,
wow.
I don't think they'll ever do anything.
But here's the thing I question, because I think Orlando's had some decent coaches in their position. I'm not too sure about their most recent coach. He was a USL coach. He got promoted, but their first coach is doing well in Minnesota now. Took him a little while to get it going, but he's got it going. Give him time, and he got it going. He didn't have as much time in Orlando. He was their USL coach that had a lot of success, but and then Jason Kreis, who I still believe is a really, really good coach. I think had he been given more time, he probably could have turned it around. Some of the fans over in Orlando may not agree. So my point is, it may not matter who the coach is for Orlando, because the organization, the structure of the organization is just set up for failure.
Yeah, I agree. But just the fact that they want to get the same guy that we've been talking about, that kind of annoys me, man. Orlando's already getting on my nerves.
Well, they should, right? They should get on your nerves. But what does Orlando offer to Solari that Miami doesn't?
Mickey Mouse.
Okay.
What else?
Right. So
what else?
If he has a family and he really wants to be around Disney, look.
Go to Disney, Universal. We'll give you free tickets.
Hey, look. I am the biggest Disney nut, and if you looked above my little set here, you'd see a bunch of Disney pop figurines and things like that are just out of camera. Out of camera for a reason. But I am the biggest Disney fan.
You're a bigger dork.
Well,
yeah. A Dorkosaurus Rex is what
I
you
embrace
are.
that. I embrace that, Ed. But if he came out and said, "I'm going to Orlando because I'm going to Disney World," I'll salute him. Good job. Congratulations. You're going where you want to go. But really, what do they offer? And one of our friends recently said in the chat that one thing that Orlando has that we don't, no pressure.
That's true.
You come to Miami with our ownership group who's expecting to win from day one, with David Beckham, with the kind of money they're promising to spend, they're expecting to win now. And so there is instant pressure.
Oh yeah. It's a different ball game for us, man. We've got to come out the starting blocks like a sprinter. We need to take names, and we need to make at least the playoffs the first year. I think that's very important. This town is it's all about spectacle. It's all about flash, and if the team can't do that, then people are going to lose interest real quick.
Exactly. So, again, we're talking about Solari moving potentially to Orlando. Apparently, they're in some deep conversations. But, another, name that has popped up, many, many times is among the fans is Marcelo Gallardo. The fans want Gallardo.
Well, Gallardo right now, he's coaching with River Plate in Argentina. He's had some history. He played over here at DC United for a few games. He was a great player, and apparently he's a pretty damn good coach.
Yeah.
So that's another person that people would be interested in. He knows the MLS. He's played in the MLS before, so I think that's something that's important. I'm not sure about his English though, but he has an understanding about this, about the MLS. So
yeah.
um,
So
that's a plus.
He was in MLS for I went and did the research. He played 15 games, a little more than what we were talking about yesterday. So he played.
Yeah, you said 5.
It has a 5 in it.
Yeah. I was like, no, man, it's got to be more. It's got to be
15
more.
games, and I think he had like 4 goals. So
yeah.
Not in 1 year. So he wasn't in MLS a lot, but he was in there, and he's a fan favorite, big time. But another one that has been mentioned over and over again because of his connection with David Beckham is Moyes, David Moyes.
David Moyes. Now that'd be something interesting. The thing, we've heard Jorge Mas talk about the candidates that he has. He specifically said it's somebody that speaks English. I'm not sure if he said Spanish, but somebody that would identify with the Latin American community. So I think that puts him out of the group of people. I think they're going to go for a South American.
Okay. Well,
or a Spanish, somebody, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Constantly talked about is Gattuso.
Well, there you go. Gattuso's another possibility. He's Italian though. Maybe you hit me in the mouth with that one. I think he does. He speaks Spanish. I'm not sure about the English part, but that's another great person right there to be a coach, a good coach here in MLS.
Yeah, I did read today that he is apparently in advanced talks with Sampdoria, so to return to Serie A. So he may not be available. So if MLS wants to, if Miami wants to grab him, they better be aggressive. So there's so many possibilities, and
well, we talked about. Remember, I think we talked about it yesterday. Pablo Mastroeni. I was just naming some players. He used to be with the Fusion. He's available. He last coached for the Colorado Rapids. He took a couple years off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking because he's got South Florida ties. He speaks English and Spanish. He used to play here with the Fusion once again. So I don't know, but for me that could be another possibility. What do you think, Peter?
Well, I think the chat room is active right now. And so thank you to Eric Thomas, who's in here, and Sean the Fish Slayer. I like that. And Gonzalo Roteda and Anthony Manzano. And I'm sorry if I'm butchering anybody's name, because that's just kind of what I do. But, and Eric brought up any backup coaches. And that's exactly the coach. You stole kind of my, because we had a talk yesterday, right? Who I want, if we say backup coach, I'm thinking assistant, right? That's the way I kind of read that backup. And I was watching, if you guys don't watch MLS Extra Time, you should watch or listen to it. It's a podcast produced by MLS. They do a YouTube version of it. If you compare our show to theirs, you'll see some of the graphics look familiar because maybe I was influenced. But they had Pablo on there, and Pablo did say he was trying to get back into it a little bit, and that he took the time off, like you said. And I think he is perfect. I don't want him for the head coach because he didn't do that great in Colorado, but he'll admit that he was a young coach, so that's part of the reason. But I think he would be priceless as an assistant coach as he works his way back up to getting a head coaching opportunity.
Right. That's a good idea. I think if David Moyes would come, he's not that familiar with MLS. That would be perfect for him. Gattuso, if they get Pablo Mastroeni in there as well. But there's also other coaches that Inter Miami already has, like Javi Morales. That's there. He's got MLS experience. Jason Kreis, who's also there. Though he's got a lot of work because he's with the U.S.
I think he's good where he's at
under 20
because of the U.S. thing. But do you think your Javi Morales, you want to take him away from what those academy kids are doing?
Well, he's doing really well with the kids, so I don't know.
I may not want to take him away, right? He's killing it with the kids. Leave him there. Yeah.
All the coaches are.
Some other names mentioned, One World, One Goal mentioning, I mean, obviously she loves our fusion. And so she's mentioning Jeff Cassar. He's got head coaching experience.
Yeah.
He could be an assistant as well.
He loves Miami. I always see that he's coming down here. He's always hanging out with the ex-Fusion players. Cool. So that's a possibility.
I mean, we got Jay Heaps. He's got MLS coaching experience.
Jay Heaps. Who else is out there? And look,
if we're going to go down the Miami Fusion roll call, I have to mention our two friends that Jim Rooney, who's a friend of ours, Rooney. and he is currently coaching in a lower division with Boca Raton Football Club. So he's coaching, and he has coached the youth at in the U.S. national team youth for a few years. So he may not even be your first assistant coach, but maybe your second assistant coach, because he hasn't had any MLS coaching experience, but he was the captain of the best Fusion team ever, and the first guy to wear that bra, that training bra, or whatever it was. Exactly. Before Landon Donovan, he wore it first. And then a guy I love to death, but he would never get a chance, I'm sure, because he doesn't give a damn, right? He'll just say what he wants, and that may not always sit well, and that's Ian Bishop. I mean, so if we're going to go down the Miami Fusion roll call, we got to go through our buddies, right? Yeah, Bish would be awesome, man. Man, we got to call him up and see if we can go and talk football with him at a bar or something, because that he's up there with Ray Hudson. We could do that. We could definitely do that. Been in contact with a couple of those guys recently, maybe working on something with them. So we could definitely reach out to them for sure. All right. So a lot of coaching conversations still going on in the chat. Thanks everybody. But I think, we're trying to keep this around 30 minutes. But again, if you guys are chat crazy and want to and really jump in, then we'll go longer, right? I got nothing else to do, Ed. Do you? Yeah, I got nothing. Okay. Well, I did want to talk about the topic that I have on the image that I created for this, and that is politics. Miami politics, Ed, and they are a pain in the neck as always. Yeah. This is unfortunately, Miami is like a banana republic. Yep. I hate to say it, but this place is terrible when it comes to politics. Just think about how easy it was for Inter Miami to come into Fort Lauderdale, get a piece of land, a good-sized piece of land, and start developing like that. And Inter Miami has been working in Miami for years more and really aren't anywhere. Like, we think you're close, but at the end of the day, there's no contract yet. And that's what we're talking about. And in the last commission meeting that was held on Thursday, Manola Reyes. Manola. See, I told you I screw people's. Manola. That's going to be my trademark, Ed. Is just repeat after me. Manola. No, Manolo. Manolo. That's cool. Yeah, Manolo. I'm going to learn Spanish by the end of this, right? Just say Reyes. All right. Reyes. Commissioner Reyes has accused Inter Miami of dragging their feet. That they are trying to drag their feet until the November elections because Willie Gort is going to be out. He's on term limits, and so he's going to be out. And so the accusation is that they are waiting to Reyes is saying that we are waiting for Gort to leave and then get somebody that's much more favorable to the project, hopefully in the office. And so Manolo Reyes is now forcing the Inter Miami to present the contract on October 24th. The interesting thing, Ed, is that the Mayor Suarez says if Reyes forces this and a contract comes in front of the commission that is not ready, he will use his veto pen. And that was his words. I will use my veto pen. So if they're being forced to put something forward that is not ready, and he's saying it's not ready because the city has jumped in and said, we want to pick they took months to pick their representation for the contract. Then they wanted to jump in and also get involved with who's going to actually do the outside studies that need to be done, studies for traffic, chemical, and one other. So they're accusing Miami of dragging their feet. But if you really look at it, the commission has forced Miami to be slower because of all these roadblocks are put in their way.
Right. Man, these guys are just, they're just incredible. Every time I see those, I think you have a recording of the shouting match between the mayor and Joe Carroyo.
I do. Hey, Ed, you know what I just realized? We never played the intro.
Oh. Well,
hey, it's the first time we're doing this show live. I'm trying to be the host of the show and also trying to run the board, basically. So we missed the intro, and I just saw it in my list of scenes, and I'm like, oh, all right. So guys, here is a back and forth between Joe Carroyo and, am I saying that right, Ed? Joe Carroyo, who was a supporter of Inter Miami. But now he's actually, I think he is still a supporter of the stadium, but he wants the stadium to be in a small piece and then allow the city to kind of build a mall in the rest of it. He's not necessarily in favor of Miami Freedom Park. He's cool with the stadium, not so much in Miami Freedom Park. So Carroyo and Suarez got into a shouting match. Take a listen.
Second item, but to put what up for RFP?
Well, let me call you Lord Mayor so you get even happier.
Listen, be respectful.
And you can understand?
Be respectful.
I am being respectful.
No, you're not being respectful.
That's from
You're not being respectful.
All right.
Be respectful.
I'm about to bring this meeting to a close.
Be respectful. Be respectful.
You know what you need to do?
Be respectful.
I am.
Gentlemen. Be respectful.
I am. Don't yell at me.
Be respectful.
Don't yell at me.
I'm fine.
Don't yell at me.
Be respectful.
Gentlemen, one at a time.
Talk about being respectful.
You're going to be respectful.
You've been doing.
You're going to be respectful.
Well, you are too.
You're going to be respectful. You're going to be respectful. You are going to be respectful. You are going to be respectful. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
I'm going to go to the 3 p.m.
You
rule.
forgot you're not a strong mayor. You lost 65%.
That's got nothing to do with it. That's got nothing to do with it. And that's got nothing to do with
a
it.
strong mayor.
It's fine.
You lost a strong mayor by 65%.
Not because of you, my friend.
To a close?
So don't
Not
act
because
like
of
a
you.
strong mayor.
Not because of you. Trust me.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
For your advocacy.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, they say. Ed, I don't know how many times Mayor Suarez said be respectful. It had to be a good 20, 30 times in that 2-minute audio clip. Just respectful, be respectful, be respectful. I am being respectful. No, you're not being respectful. I mean, I'm curious. Is that the way it normally is in these commission meetings?
Well, if it is, man, these guys can't get any.
No wonder they don't get any.
That's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible. There's a lot of, but aren't they in the same political party? I don't know.
Does it? You could be in the same political party and still have disagreements. I mean, just look at the whenever we're picking a president, and you have the say the Democratic convention or the Republican convention, and they all eat each other alive before they go and support each other. So
that's true.
They'll destroy each other.
These guys don't agree on that. Yeah, they don't agree on anything, and he was that was a shot at him because he didn't win the strong mayor. I think that it was one of the things that came up on the last elections. And so I don't know why Carroyo would even bring this up. It's got nothing to do with the stadium.
Can you explain to anybody that's watching, Ed, what the strong mayor, ruling or what that is all about?
Yeah, basically, it would have made the mayor would have had more power than he has now. Right now, he depends too much on the commission. I don't know the intricacies of the whole thing, but basically, he would have had he would have had more power than he has now. Now he's dependent on the commission a lot. So unfortunately, these guys can't get anything done, as you can see. These are the type of people that we elect. If it were up to me, I'd get rid of all of them. Because they're terrible, man. These guys are just terrible. But anyways, what we want is for for them to make the deal with the team already. And one thing that gets to me, Peter, is like, all right, Gort wants to vote against it. So does Reyes. So that's two of the votes. They won't be able to agree on making the agreement or whatever for the stadium. But people voted for this.
Right.
People, they basically said, yes, we want the stadium there. So how could the commission, change their mind and, say they want a mall there now, when everything, all they have to do is negotiate and, okay, tell them this is how much it's going to cost. This is how much money, they want, because I'm sure they want money for their own projects or whatever. And, let's get it done already.
I agree. Eric Thomas is jumping into the politic conversation, and he's up in the Northeast watching us, and he thought politics up in the Northeast were bad until he heard what happened here in Miami. So it's embarrassing when they're and how can they then? It's like we're all a bunch of macho guys, right? And then you now have a grudge against the other guy, and how do you now go and try to work together and all your city needs? I mean, you obviously have to put all that behind you. But look, I'm sure Suarez was mad. I mean, he's yelling at him, and now he's got to, he's throwing low blows. You're not a strong mayor. You're not a strong mayor.
Why does he even bring that up? That's it's baffling to me that. They have to do that. Why don't you just pick up the phone and say, hey, look, dude, you didn't get the, if he wants to make fun of him, do it somewhere else, where nobody's going to see them. Yeah, why? That's the dumbest thing I ever saw.
All right, Ed, I think some of our viewers might be getting tired of politics because everybody hates it. Everybody hates politics. So let's before we wrap up the show, let's talk about some of the subjects that are in the queue here. And Marvin Meals is in here too, and he has some nice words to say about the politicians. But I personally am gonna try to keep the show a little clean, so I'm not gonna repeat that. But so Anthony Manzano, he had mentioned. He says, Peter and Ed, and I'll let you handle this, Ed. What are your opinions on Gonzalo Higuain and Angel Di Maria for Inter Miami to pair up with Edison Cavani?
That would be something. Higuain is a great striker. He's a big guy. He would be fantastic up top, even if we wouldn't get Cavani, which I think we're going to get Cavani. But if he could replace Cavani, he's pretty damn good, man. He plays for the Argentinian national team. So he's pretty good. Di Maria, also another Argentinian. Inter Miami loves Argentinians, so he would be ideal too. He's another Silva type of player. He's a forward player. He's not a forward. He's a attacking midfielder, we could say. He's always going forward. He'd be a great guy for MLS. I think they would eat it up.
Right.
But if you had me, pick between Cavani and Silva over those two, I'd say Cavani and Silva.
And that's just it. Now we're with those guys. I mean, we need the team to be balanced, right? So we can't just have too much in the attack, right? That'd be my concern. Yeah, because is putting all DPs.
Look at the Galaxy. Incredible offense. They've got Ibra up top, and they got the guy they brought from what's his name? The guy they brought from Argentina, from Boca. Great player, but the defense sucks. They get scored on. I think this is the team that's been scored on the most, and that's something that we're going to have to be very careful with. Because we can have the best strikers in the world up front, but if we don't have a good defense, the Galaxy's right there to prove it. They made the playoffs. They barely made the playoffs, and they're losing games left and right because they just can't defend.
Right. Agreed. So, so we got some comments on here that's saying we only get 3 DPs. Yep. There's a young DP, and
Pellegrini is already covering one of them.
And so some people are curious, I guess, how a young DP works in that situation. A young DP still counts as one of your 3 DPs. You don't get a 4th DP just because he's young. What it does is it's a smaller cap hit. So I had the numbers down, and I read off these numbers in one of our previous news segments, and I just don't have them memorized. But I think the cap hit for a young DP is somewhere around 150,000, maybe 200,000, right? So,
oh wow.
So it could be as much as 250, right? I could be a little bit off, but somebody in the chat can correct me. That can Google it or something real quick. But it's a lower cap hit than a full DP, but it's still a DP, and we only get 3.
Eric Thomas said the same thing. He only counts for 150,000.
Okay, I was right the first time.
He confirmed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
you know, we're all hoping that Cavani comes down here, and you know, Suarez would be awesome as well. That it was mentioned in the chat. Do you think that could happen, Ed?
Suarez, I think, is a little more difficult, and I think Cavani seems more realistic. Suarez, I think, is a little bit younger, than Cavani. So, and Cavani's already, his contract's up with PSG. So I think he's coming. I'd take Suarez too. I mean, God, if we can have both of them, we destroy up top. But like I said, we need to build the rest of the team up, and that's why they're doing all the money calculations and trying to see if they can get some of these these middle class, I guess, players you can call them, who are going to occupy those spaces.
Mid-level is a little...
There you go, mid-level.
We're middle class.
Yeah.
They're much up. They're way up here.
Yeah. So yeah, let's see what develops.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, there's the biggest thing, more so than the players, and what's bugging me the most, and also I see it popping up on social media a lot, is the coaching situation. We have to have the coach by, and I think the date's November 19th. November 19th is the expansion draft. Coach needs to be in no later than November 9th, the week before, right? No later than the week before, so he has some time to kind of review potential, expansion draftees, and they won't know the actual numbers and our names won't be announced until November 16th. But this coach has to be able to have some knowledge, right? And right now, we're just and we keep, our ownership group keeps saying it's going to be this month. It's going to be this month, and we've heard that before. And so my biggest complaint about Inter Miami, they're going to give us a great team. I think we're going to have a lot of fun going to the stadium. We're going to have a blast, but they do seem to operate on Miami time.
Yeah, well, we're Miami, so. But I don't know, Peter. I'm hoping, like you say, that they get the coach quick. Maybe they already haven't, they already signed the contract and they're just waiting for the big announcement. I'm hoping it's that way, because what if the team doesn't work out? What if we don't have a coach by then? They pick those players,
it's possible,
from the draft, and the team doesn't do well the first year, and you could always go back and say, hey man, you didn't let me pick the team, so it's not my fault. This is what you guys did.
Yeah, well, if Paul McDonough is going to be, if Paul McDonough is the one that's picking the players, because if it's not the coach, it would be him, right? And he's picking the players and picking the coach. He better pick a coach that can coach those type of players that he picked up. He better be thinking that way. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed. They said before the end of this month, they will have a coach. So yeah, fingers crossed. Everybody, cross everything you've got. Yeah. So, and let's get this coach in there. So I think we're about ready. Is there anything else you feel like we need to discuss, Ed?
I think we've covered just about everything. I think the coach was everybody wants to find out about the coach. But just remind everybody about our shows that are coming up.
Okay, so videos. I was at Lockhart today, walking around. I spent probably about 2 hours. You'll get that video tomorrow morning. I've already edited it. It's ready to go. So you get to listen to me talking nonsense, saying basically stuff like, I have no idea what I'm looking at, but here, you figure it out.
There's a structure here. Look, it's they got it looks like it's a roof.
There's metal. There's something there. Look, there's pipes.
There's a parking spot right there for me.
Yeah.
For me to tailgate.
He gave me an idea. You know, the gate's open. Can I just walk in and paint my name on the parking stone?
Well, I don't know, man. Then they're gonna look for you. The cops are gonna show up knocking on your door. Mr. Peter Brown.
All right, I won't do that. I've been very good. They've got gates open all over the place. I've been very good about staying on the sidewalk. Some people have asked, how can I get such good video of it? I just reach over the fence. Just reaching over the fence. That's it. And sometimes there's a gate open and I just stand next to the gate and, you know, on the sidewalk. So I'm not breaking any rules. So that's coming up on Monday. Here's where the change is. Our local news segment that I do is normally on Monday. That's now going to move to Tuesday. So that gives a little more time to get maybe some new news items. So we'll do that on Tuesday. And Ed will have his Spanish video sometime Wednesday or Thursday. So we'll aim for that. So we're going to be
en español. Yes.
You're guaranteed to get 3 to 4 videos from us every single week, at least until Lockhart is built. And you know, Ed, once they start building over in Melreese, if that does end up happening, wherever they start building in Miami, you're going to have to do the same thing over in Miami.
That's me.
I'm going to start visiting it on a weekly basis. But it's a lot of fun. So I really appreciate everybody that is in the chat. You know, thanks so much for the love. So thanks so much for supporting us. We're coming up on our 1-year anniversary of doing this channel. Can you believe it's coming up 1 year? And
time flies, and I like sometimes I think about when we used to do the Ultras Alive show. We did that for 6 years, Peter, and time flies.
Time goes fast, and I think we've done good here in the first year, and it's just going to get bigger and better as we get closer to seeing some games being played. So stay tuned on Futbol Miami TV. Thank you so much for spending your time with us here on a Sunday night. Thank you so much for participating and in the chat room, and we really appreciate it. And we will we'll see you next week. Well, I'll see you on Tuesday. I'll see you tomorrow at Lockhart. We'll see you at Lockhart tomorrow. But next week, remember, keep your Sunday evenings free, because we're going to do this most every Sunday evening. I say most because, you know, we do need to go out of town once in a while, but most every Sunday we will do this show live on Sundays so that you guys can participate. So thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next week.